This conference will now be recorded.
Hi friends, welcome to the 19. So my name is Ratan. Guys, we're discussing course of entry questions, right? So the last video we uploaded like flow controls, some 12 questions like that. All of you, I think you're writing the questions, right? So everyone, please make a note on the questions and continuation. You can add the today class, okay? Today entry questions. Today I'm coming up with Java variables and entry questions, Java variables entry questions regarding the variables. Regarding what variables, right? Yeah. Okay, the first question is, I hope you guys are writing the notes, right? Everyone, please follow the videos and like the videos. And even you didn't add the comments about the previous video. I'm asking about how the videos are going on. You please comment that video how the explanation is going on. You need bit lengthy or you bit like small, less explanation. You just please update once, okay? Can please write some comment in that. You got the point, right? Yeah. Guys, today class, you're going for the variables, right? Variables entry questions. Coming to the variables entry questions. Yeah. How many types of variables in Java? That's the first question. It's very simple thing. Tell me, guys. You please respond. How many types of variables in Java? Basically, as per the Java standards, we have the three types of variables in Java. Yes, how many types of variables? There are three types of variables, right? One is a local variable. Tell me, guys. One is what? Local variable. Second one is what? Instance variable. Third one is a static variable. There's how many types of variables in Java? Local, instance variables, and what? Static variables. Just three variables, guys. Very simple question. How many types of variables in Java means there are three types. But some people are saying method arguments like that. But even method arguments also becomes the constructor arguments, method arguments. These all arguments becomes local variables only, right? Method arguments means what? That definitely within the method only, right? Within the method only means that is called also local variables. So the first question answer is what? There are three types of variables in Java. One is the local variables. There are three types of variables in Java: local variables, instance variables, and what? Static variables. That's the first question, right? Can please note down the first question, okay? And second question, where we can declare different types of variables. We told like local variable, instance variable, and static variable, right? Local, instance, and what? Static. You can define the local variables inside the method, okay, inside the method, or inside the constructor, or inside the blocks. The variables are declared inside the method or constructor or blocks, that becomes local variables. Get the point, right? Declared inside the method or inside the constructor, inside the block. Instance variables, the variables are declared inside the class, so we have defined inside the class directly. That is called instance variable. Even static variables also declared inside the class only, but with static modifier. So the variables are declared inside the class with the static modifier. That is called what? A static variable, right? Just where we declare the different types of variables. Local variables are declared inside the method or a constructor or blocks. Instance variables are declared inside the class, and static variables are declared inside the class with the static modifier. You got the point, right? With the static modifier, right? Exactly. You got the point, right? That's the second question. See guys, these are the local variables are declared inside the method or constructor or block. Instance variables are declared inside the class. Static variables are declared inside the class with the static modifier. The second question. Get the point, right? Third one. So guys, first question is how many types of variables. Second question is where we can declare. Third question is what? When how can we access that variable? Yes, local variables always we need to access using, tell me guys, how can we access local variables? Access the local data directly. Local data, we can go for the direct access. What about instance data, sir? Remember that always access the instance data using object name. Always access the instance data using object name. Sir, but my inside the class, I have the instance variable, I have the instance method, I can access directly. Yeah, but that is possible, direct access is possible, but that is only within the same class. But in the real time, definitely we have within the classes, we have the multiple classes. Definitely in the real time, we have the multiple classes. When we have the multiple classes, then how can we? Then definitely require the object name, right? That's why you just remember that either within the class or outside of the class, anywhere, Instance data means always access using object name. Access using what? Access using object name, right? Exactly. Next, local data is what? Direct access. Local data is direct access. Instance data means what? Access using object name. Access using what? Object name. Third one is like static data. So how can we access static data? Remember that always access the static data using class name. But some people are thinking, sir, static data I can call directly. Yes, you can call directly, but that is happen only within the same class. But make sure that you don't confuse like within the class direct access, outside of the class using class name, like that. You just remember that always access the instance data using object name, always access the static data using class name. Hope you got the clarity, right? Yeah. So that is like different variables accessing, right? Guys, accessing what? Different variables. The third question, guys. How can we access the different types of variables in Java? Access the local variables directly, access the instance variable using object name, access the static variable using class name. Some people ask the question immediately, sir, can I call the static variable using object name also? Yes, you can call. Actually, static variables you can call using object name or direct access using class name. Static variable you can call this all the ways, but it's not a standard, right? Sometimes you are calling directly, sometimes you are using object name, sometimes you are using class name. It's not like that. We have followed the standard, right? The standard for the static variables accessing is a class name, remember, like that. Instance variables accessing is standard is what? Object name. Local variable standard is what? Within the block, right? Directly you can print. This is very very important, because some people will call the instance variables directly, some people will call the static variables using object name, like that they will do. But you don't go for that approaches, you follow the standards. I think you got the clarity, right? That's one point. Yeah, the questions are clear, huh? Next, fourth question is very important. In project level, when we'll use the instance variable and static variable, give the scenario. Okay. The fourth question is very important. It's also important, but fourth question is a mandatory question in entry panel. Tell me about when to use instance and when to use a static. See, guys, when I give some variables like class employee, employee contains what? Employee ID, an employee ID, an employee name, an employee salary, and employee salary. And see, for example, string employee company and string location. Now some five variables. Then you should know, okay, which variables are instance and which variables are static. There's a question. Which variables are instance and which variables are static? For that question, the answer is, for the employee class, you can create one employee object or multiple employee objects. Multiple employee objects. Employee 1, employee 2, employee 3. See, for every employee, ID is different. For example, one ID, two ID, three ID. ID is different. Names are different. A, B, C. I think salaries are different. 23, something like 23,000, something like this. Salaries are different. 23,000, 56,000, 78,000, like this. But see, the data is what? Specific to the object. This object has specific data. This have the specific data. This have the specific data. But company C, all are belongs to TCS company. TCS, TCS, and TCS. All are belongs to Hyderabad location. Hyderabad, Hyderabad, Hyderabad. Because my application only for the TCS employees and Hyderabad location people only. In that case, tell me, instance variable means every object separate memories are created. Instance variable. But tell me, I think these all employees are belongs to same company, right? TCS, 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 and same location, right? In that case, these all employees are belongs to same company and same location. In that case, for every person, one memory of TCS is not required, right? One person, one memory, like every person memory is wastage, right? That's what instead of making this many number of memories, we can make the single copy of the TCS. that can be shared by all objects, and single copy of location that can be shared by these all objects. I hope you understood, right? I need a single copy of company name, single copy of location that can be shared by one object, all objects, all object, right? The data which is common for all objects, then you can make the data as a static variable. Then these two are the static variable. You got the point, right? The data is specific to the object. The data is specific to the object. You can go for the instance. Then separate memories will be created. First object separate memory, second object separate memory. Memory point of view, this is separate memory, this is separate memory, this is separate memory. Instance variable, every object separate data maintained, separate memory maintained. But some of the data which is common for all employees. The data which is common to all employees go for the static. Guys, the data is common for what? All employees. The data is common for all people, then you can go for the static. Once if you make the static, one memory created that can be used by these all objects. Guys, that can be used by these all objects, right? That is a point, guys. That is a TCS and what a Hyderabad, right? Guys, if you take the school, guys, if you take the student, student ID is different, student name is different, student average marks are different. So those three are instance variable. But student belongs to the school, right? School name. Assume like that application for the specific school, the school name is a static variable. School ID is a static variable. State is a static variable because state is a Telangana for all the students, right? And country name is a static variable because for all the people same country, right? I think now you got the clarity now. The data is specific to the object, go for the instance. The data is common for all objects. Yes, the data is what? Common for all objects. The data is common for all objects, then we have to take what? Instance, right? Sorry. The data is specific to the object means instance, ma. The data is common for all objects, you can go for what? Static. I think now you got the clarity. See guys, instance variable every object, separate memory created. Okay, instance variable every object. Otherwise, you can write the point. One more point you can add. The data is what, ma? The data is what? Specific to the object. The data is specific to the object. Then use what? Instance variable. Every object we have specific data. The data is specific to object. Then use instance variable. Instance variable every object separate memory created. For example, employee name, employee ID, employee salary. Static variable, the data is common for all objects. The data is common for, tell me guys, common for all objects. Then use what? Then use static variables, right? The data is common for all objects. Then use static variable. Static variable memory point of view, what happened, guys? One memory creator, multiple memories are created. One memory creator, right? Static variable for all objects, single memory created, right? That is a very important question. I think you got the clarity, right? Yeah, so instance variable means every object separate memory created. The data is specific to the object means instance variable. Simple, the point is the data specific to the object, instance variable. Then separate memories are created. The data is common for all objects. Hmm. Tell me, the data is common for all objects. Then static, right? Guys, are you clear now? There is instance versus what am I? Static. Clear now? Good. Yes, one more tricky question. So this is also one of the most effective, most frequently asked interview question. So experienced people ask this kind of questions here. If we done the modification on instance variable, if we done the modification in instance variable, then how many objects are affected? Okay, read the question. I have some instance variable. If we done the modification on static variable, then how many objects are affected? Interview panel, I ask the question. I have an instance variable. Here I have the instance variable. I done the modification of instance variable. Then how many objects will be affected? Otherwise, I have the static variable. I done the modification on static variable. Then how many objects are affected? Just now we discussed, right? Instance data specific to the object, right? Because instance variable, how many objects are affected means instance data specific to the object. Instance variables are specific to the object means specific to the object. If you done the modification and instance data, only that object is affected, right? You got the point, huh? See, for example, ID is an instance variable specific to the object. I change this ID 1 to 100. Then what happened here? Only this object is affected. I think you need to understand that point, guys. Instance variable data specific to the object, right? Specific to the object. Your ID belongs to you. You change your ID means what? Only your object is affected, right? My ID is not affected. But what about static variable? Static variable is specific to the object or common for all objects? Common for all. So companies are common for all of you, right? Previously you changed your ID, but my ID is not changed, employee to. But if we change this TCS to Wipro, then what happened, guys here? Then one object is affected, all objects are affected, all objects are affected. So remember that if you done the modification on instance variable, only one specific object is affected. Specific object is affected. Which object you are changing, that object is affected. If you are doing the modification on instance variable, specific object is affected. If you are doing the modification on static variable data is a specific to the object or common for all objects. It's actually like common for all objects, right? Then all objects are affected. Question number 5 is clear, right? Yes, these two are very, very, very important. Most of the people ask these two questions frequently. They tell me what the variables are instance, what variables are static. So the data specific to the object means instance variable. So every object separate memory created. The data is common for all objects. Guys, you write the questions, read the question 3 4 times, so that you'll get the terminology about that question automatically. I clearly written the point, right? You try to take the point, you try to understand the point. I think after my explanation, you can easily understand, right? No worries about that. Hmm? Instance variable, every object separate memory created. So you know that point. Instance variable data specific to the object. Here, one object changes the data, only that object is affected. Instance variable modification reflect on what a specific object. But static variable, what is static variable here? Static variable data common for static variable data. Tell me again, static variable data is tell me common to all objects. Common to all objects. So one object change the data. One object is what? One object is change the data. One static variable is the data is a count for objects. So if you change the static variable, if we change the static variable, if we change the static data, all objects are affected. All objects are affected, right? Exactly. Instance variable data specific to the object. Once if we do the modifications, instance will modify reflect on the specific object. Static variable data is common for all objects. If you change the static variable data, then all objects are affected. If we change the static variable data, then all objects are affected, right? Exactly. So are you clear, right? That is information, yeah. But 5 questions very, very important. Okay, some people ask what the declaration, initialization, and reinitialization here. Hmm? One of the student is asked this question. Maybe that much is not important. Okay, declaration means what? The declaration means int num. This is called declaration. Whatever initialization, num equal to 100. Now 100 is assigned to number. That is called initialization. What is reinitialization? Num equal to 1000. Then that is called reinitialization. If you write the SOP statement here, then what happened here? Number I'm printing. Then it will be like 100, that is initialization. Sir, no, that is called what? Initialization, right? What about reinitialization? Num equal to 1000, no? Then I'm trying to print this value. Then this is called what? Reinitialization. Explain variable declaration. This is a declaration. This is called initialization. This is called reinitialization. Again, we are reinitializing, right? That is called reinitialization. Clear, right? Question number 6. You can add that point. Seventh question. This is also bit important here. One of the interview, they're asking this question. Variables are how many types of variables in Java? Three types. What are the three types? Local, instance, static. Tell me where the local variables are stored and instance and static variables will be stored. Which memory is stored? Local variables are stored in which memory? Tell me. Anyone knows that? Guys, after watching this video, you should write this all the question and answer. You should be perfect at these all the questions. That is the main intention, right? Local variables will be stored in the stack memory, guys. Local will be stored in the stack memory. Instance variable, I told instance variables access using object, right? Instance is always related to the object. Object means what? Which is stored in the heap memory. Stored in what? Heap memory. These local variables are stored in stack memory. Instance will be stored in the heap memory. And last one is what? Static variable. Static variables, only three variables here. Static variables will be stored in what? Method area. Only these three variables, guys. There is no method argument like that because method arguments becomes a local type only. That local variables are stored in which memory? Stack memory only, right? Yeah. So variables are stored in which memory means local variables are stored in the stack memory. Instance means related to the object stored in the heap memory. Static variable related to the method area, memory areas, right? Exactly. Yeah, 7 is clear, right? Good. Come to 8th question. How can you prevent the variable reinitializations? Very good. Because see, for example, I told that this is called declaration num, no? Then this is called initialization, and it is assigned. That is a fixed. If someone is trying to reassign the value, you should get error message. How can you prevent the variable reinitialization? But to prevent the variable reinitialization, just you can make this one as a final modifier. If your variable declared as a final modifier, okay, you cannot reinitialize the data. Only one time initialization, this is a fixed value. We cannot reinitialize the data. The terminal is important. Initialization means one time. First, this is called initialization. Is okay, fine. Reinitialization means again you are trying to change, right? Because reinitialization means what you are trying to change. That is called reinitialization, right? That is not possible. How can you prevent the variable reinitialization? Means if a variable declared as a final, we can prevent the reinitializations. We cannot reinitialize the fixed constant, guys. You got the point, right? See, seventh question, guys. Variables are stored in which memory? Local variables are stored in the stack memory. Instance variables are stored in the heap memory. Static variables are stored in the method area. How can we prevent the variable reinitialization? By declaring the variable as a final, we can prevent the variable reinitialization. Final variables are fixed constants. Modifications are reinitializations are not possible, right? Reinitialization, that terminology is good. Reinitialization is not possible. You got the clarity, right? Reinitialization is not possible, right? Exactly. Good. This is also a bit important question here. Very, very important. See, guys, in interview, someone is asking the question, immediately you should respond, right? That's what you should have this clarity about the topic. Hmm? This is also a bit experienced people. One of the person is facing this question. Experience will ask like some tricky questions, guys. This is like can we define the instance variable inside the instance method or not? Okay. To understand that question, it will take time. Can we define instance variable inside the instance method or not? Can we define the static variable inside the static method or not? The question is inside the instance method, can we have instance variable? Inside the static method, can we have the static variable? Most of the thing guys are saying yes, sir, possible. But no, both are not possible. Both situations are not possible. because once we define the variables inside the methods, those variable becomes local variables, yeah, local type. Even though instance method, if we define the variable, that becomes local only. That becomes what? Local only, right? Even though yeah, once if we define the variable in the static, that become the local only. Sir, can I do like this, sir? Public static void m1. Here inside this one, I define num equal to int num. This is becomes local, right? Some people are thinking, sir, can you please define the static modifier, sir? No, not possible. This is not allowed because this is a local variable, right? To these local variables, only one modifier is applicable. That is called final. You cannot make the static. Guys, to the local variables, only one modifier applicable. Only one modifier is what? Applicable. That is final. Some people are thinking, sir, I have the static method, sir. I can have the variable like this. I can define the static modifier, sir. This is my static variable or not? No, 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 no. Because inside the method, if you define the variable, this is the local. To this local variable, only final modifier is applicable. You know final modifier, right? Reinitializations are not possible. Guys, reinitializations are possible or not possible? Not possible, right? Yeah, that is a point, guys. Are you clear now? Can we define instance variable inside the instance method or not? Can we define the static variables inside the static method or not? No, both are not possible because once you define the variable inside the methods, those variables becomes local type. To the local variables, only one modifier is applicable, that is a final modifier. I think all the questions are clear, right? It's very, very important. Methods, I'll go for the next video. So today I'll go for only 10 questions. What's the variable coding conventions? Guys, variables follows a mixed case coding convention. Make sure that variable name starts with lowercase and every inner word starts with uppercase. For example, I want to take the employee ID, EMP ID like this you have to make. Variable name starts with lowercase. Inner word ID na I capital. For example, EMP name. For example, EMP salary. Like that you have to define. Sir, no, sir, I want to define EID like this. Guys, EID is not that much meaningful, right? EID means what? For example, this one is very meaningful, right? EMP ID, EMP name, EMP salary. You should follow the coding conventions, yeah. So we understood that the variable name starts with lowercase. The variable name starts with lowercase and the inner word starts with what? Uppercase, right? Guys, variable name starts with what? Lowercase. Inner word starts with what? Uppercase, right? Inner word starts with uppercase. Are you clear now? These are the 10 questions about the variables here. Good enough. Yes, all of you respond. How many types of variables in Java? There are three types of variables in Java: local, instance, and what? Static variables. Where we can define the variables, local variables are declared inside the method or constructor or block. Instance variables are declared inside the class. Static variables are declared inside the class with a static modifier. How can we access that variables? Access the local variables directly, access the instance variable using object name, access the static variable using class name. In project level, when we use instance and static variable, give the scenario. The data is specific to the object, that is called instance variable. Define that as an instance variable. Instance variable, every object separate memory created. For example, employee name, employee, employee salary like this. The data is common for all objects. The data is common for all objects, then you can go for the static variable. Static variable means how many memory copies are created? Only one memory created. Only single memory created per class. For example, company name, location, country name, school name, like that. Fifth question. If you done the modification on instance variable, then how many objects are affected? If you done the modification on static variable, how many objects are affected? Okay, instance variable data specific to the object. Specific to the object means if you done the modification, only that object is affected. But static variable data is common for all objects. So if you done the modification, then all objects are affected, right? Exactly. Explain about the variable declaration, initialization, reinitialization. Okay, this is called declaration. Declaration is like int num. Initialize nothing but what? Num equal to 100. This is like first time initialization. Then you change the value, that is called reinitialization. This is called what? Reinitialization, right? Exactly. Because variables are stored in which memory? Local variables are stored in the stack memory. Instance variables are stored in the heap memory. Static variables are stored in what method area, right? Stored in what method area? Clear, right? How can you prevent a variable reinitialization? If a variable declared as a final, we cannot reinitialize that variable value. You cannot reinitialize that value, right? Exactly. Can we define instance variables inside the instance method? Can we define the static variables inside the static method? Oh, no, 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 not possible. Both are not possible because once you define the variables inside the method, those becomes a local. And even to the local variable, only one modifier is applicable. That is a final. What are the code variables coding conventions? Okay, it follows the mixed case coding convention. The variable name starts with lowercase and every inner word starts with what? Uppercase. Make sure that guys, when you write the variable declarations and all, you should follow the coding conventions. And every variable should have a type, right? Because Java is a statically typed language. Statically typed means every variable should have to define the type of the data, type of the variable. Clear? Guys, you please note down these all the 10 questions, all of you. And last flow controls previous video what we discussed, just you can go to that videos also. Okay. Yeah. Yes, thank you guys. Thanks for watching. Like the video, comment the video, subscribe to our channel to get the more videos. Next video I'll come up with the methods interview questions. Okay. Thank you guys. Bye.